Hey guys, join me tomorrow at 6 p.m. CST for a chill fabric art live stream on YouTube and on Instagram. We're going to be using the Tulip dual tip fabric markers and the Marvy graffiti markers to decorate some handkerchiefs. So if you're interested in easy fabric art and ideas, and if you're interested in fun and inexpensive crafts that you can do at home, I hope to see you guys there. Hey guys, happy Sunday. So tomorrow we are doing fabric marker art on handkerchiefs. I have a few handkerchiefs here, and most of the markers recommend you go ahead and you wash whatever you are going to do your marker art on first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so they are prepped. That's one of the things that we don't always get to show in the chill stream sometimes. What I like to do is I always read the back of the packages. I always read the back of the boxes to see if they recommend you do any kind of prep beforehand. What I don't like is when the products don't mention that kind of prep on the back or on the packaging, and you don't find out until you've actually gotten into it. So when I'm reviewing these kinds of things, I like it when the packaging recommends things on the packaging itself, so you can gather everything you need together. You can have everything you need so that when you're actually ready to tear in and get started, you can actually get started. So kudos to Tulip for recommending that we go ahead and we wash our fabric and have it dried first. So I have here some just inexpensive handkerchiefs. We have some George men's handkerchiefs from Walmart. And then we've also got some Imaginate handkerchiefs. These are from the craft section of Walmart. These were actually more expensive because you only get one a piece, and they don't feel like they're particularly nice either. The fabric is kind of rough, but that could just be the starch in it. And this is a bandana, and these are just handkerchiefs. So I'm going to go ahead and hand wash and dry all of them so that hopefully they're ready for tomorrow's stream. So I finally put the word on my mom, like, look, for me to be able to promote these streams, for these streams to go well, I have to start at a set time. I don't care if it's later, I don't care if it's earlier, but we have to start when we say we're gonna start. So we're starting later, we're starting at 6, but I hope we actually start at 6. It makes it so difficult to just be like, sometime in the afternoon, because I don't know when she's gonna roll up. So fingers crossed that we actually start at 6. And honestly, I know 6 might be better for some folks. The reason I did it at 4 was I figured originally, the chill streams were because I got some homeschool families asking me to please have something that they could watch with their kids that was arts and crafts related and, you know, family friendly. And I was like, well, I have a lot of family friendly stuff, but sure, okay. And it seemed like those people never showed up, which is usually how it is when people request content, is the people who requested it never show up. And so it just kind of, I kept doing it because I liked the idea and I was enjoying reviewing craft kits, and I felt like, so my goal was to provide company during a time when people couldn't really go out and hang out with each other. And I know that many people have decided that COVID is over. Like, we were out at the grocery store today, and even though we both have our second vaccine, we were both wearing our masks because, you know, you should still do that if you're out in public among people you don't know. You don't know who has or hasn't had the vaccine, and even if you won't get COVID, you can still give somebody else COVID. You can still carry the vaccine. So we're trying to not get other people sick, but nobody was wearing their masks. And this was at the good grocery store, so I guess everyone here, and then we went to a thing yesterday, like it was like a community thing, and we were wearing our masks, and literally no one else was wearing their masks. So I guess everyone here has decided that it's over now, and they're done, and we're not going to talk about it, but we're not done, so, you know. But even though, you know, a lot of people have decided it's over, it's not over, and I plan on, I would like to keep trying to do the chill streams, even though they're not particular. Sometimes they're well attended and people seem to enjoy them and we have a really good time, and then sometimes it seems like nobody shows up and I can't really get a good bead on the rhyme or reason why. So if you guys could tell me why some streams do better than others, other than promotion, but then there'll be streams that I really promote and nobody shows up for those. So I'm having a hard time with it because I can't really figure out what's going on, and I've mentioned this in my Instagram challenge video that you guys haven't seen, but I'm working on it. I have a hard time understanding analytics, I guess, because I could have two, okay, I'll give you guys an example, all right? So I have 2 shorts that just went up. Both of them are about drawing hands. Both of them are 30 seconds. One of them is the YouTube short format because I was able to actually get the content I needed in that format of the vertical format, which is challenging for me to do. And the other one is wider because I just needed the space. Frankly, it was gonna crop too much stuff off. And the one in the correct format got like 800 views like that, right? And I think it's because YouTube actually promoted it, whereas the other one has 43 views, you know? Or on Instagram, actually it's the exact same 2 videos because I shared them both because they both fit the bill for that, and I shared those to Reels, and one of them got 5,000 views like that, and the other one got 500 views. And with the Instagram one, I actually can't figure out why the one that got 5,000 views got 5,000, because it actually doesn't fit the recommended format, but the other one does. So like, that's what I mean by like, I don't understand analytics, because these are 2 videos that are not quite identical, but they're very similar. And the one with the improper formatting on Instagram did better than the one with the correct formatting. So, and they were posted, I think the one that was posted after did better than the one that was posted before. So it's not like I tapped out that audience. I don't know. So, analytics has always been a hard thing for me. I wish it would just be like, these videos do well, but I mean, I've talked about this on the channel before with like, in fact, I've talked about it a lot, because I wish I was better at understanding analytics, because like, I will look at my analytics. I care about what you guys like. I care about what y'all are interested in, not just what you say you're interested in, but what you actually watch too. I care about both. Because what you guys say you're interested in, you know, there's a small but dedicated group of people who are interested in that, and then what you guys actually watch, a lot more people will watch, and that's what actually has the potential to help my channel grow. So I wanna hit both, you know. I wanna make stuff for the people who have, you know, actually watch a lot of my content and are fans of what I do and are there for me a lot, and I want to make stuff for people who are more casual and kind of on the fence about whether or not they like what I do. But when I look at my analytics, for example, I use this example a lot because it comes up a lot. It's always there in my analytics, right? I have this video, it's like a shop with me style video of me at Michael's in 2017, and I'm talking about what watercolor brands are good and which ones are not at Michael's, and which ones are overpriced and which ones are not at Michael's. Like, it's a very Michael's specific, because I'm cognizant that, like, because I live in an area that doesn't have a lot of art supply stores, and Michael's is one of the ones you got. And it did really, really, really well. So you would think, okay, more Michael's videos. None of my other Michael's videos have ever done as well as that Michael's video, ever. So, you know, and then I have some shop with me videos that do really well, and then some shop with me videos don't do well. So, with me and content, it has always been really hit or miss. So, mostly miss, not so hit. So, I would like to learn, and I'm trying to learn, but I'm just not hitting. So, I don't know how I got onto that, other than I'm always kind of thinking about it. I am interested. I would like to improve. I am interested in growth and improvement, and I think that's pretty apparent in the kind of things I talk about. But I'm going to go wash some handkerchiefs so I can move on with my day. After I finished washing handkerchiefs, I decided I was going to go ahead and finally review this round cotton rag block that I've had for about a year now. So we're finally getting around to the mud test, and it's going to take about 3 days for me to finish up this review. So when we got home, I decided I would try watercoloring, despite the heavy rain. So this is what I've started working on. It's an illustration from last year's Lilliputian Living of a Lilliputian repurposing sandwich bags and Ziploc bags for rain gear. Wow, how fitting. He wants to protect his documents, so he's got them in a Ziploc bag. And it was so wet outside that I actually struggled with the background here and kind of made a bit of a mess with it, but that's okay. Sometimes you try stuff and it doesn't quite work out the way you hoped it would. Hey guys, good evening. Today was kind of a long day. So it was the first day, again, not on anything. So feeling more like myself. I definitely do think getting on some form of medication, at least for the ADHD, is an important option, if only for alleviating the social anxiety that comes from realizing that I can't trust my own brain. Because I don't know if you guys have this problem, but my brain, when I'm very caffeinated, I do great. But you guys know the problems with being very caffeinated, right? And especially it doesn't last all day. It's not sustained. I might get a good hour. So then I'm just like over-caffeinating, and then I'm more prone to having anxiety problems. That's not good. But if I don't over-caffeinate, then I'm very prone to short-term memory problems, dropping words, my brain replacing words for things that are almost like similes, like they're very close, but they're not exact. And this is a big problem when it comes to brand names, when it comes to similar products, but not the same products, when it comes to trying to record audio and I have to record it in 30 seconds or I have to record it in 60 seconds, because if you get that word wrong, you have to scrap the whole thing and start again, and you might find yourself recording 6 or 7 times, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I have found that when it is like the first take is not good and I do the second take is usually great, because I kind of figure everything out by the second take. But if I'm in the 4th take, I gotta step away. I gotta take a break for a while because it's not gonna get better. And I think those are just ADHD problems that are exacerbating. I don't know if it's because I'm not getting the social interaction that I need. I don't know if I'm not getting the stimulation that I need. I don't know. It's a doctor's job to know that. But I do know that the way I felt on that dosage of Adderall was not, I can't work on that. I couldn't work through that. I could barely exist on that. I was vibrating on like another plane of existence. And I think actually a lot of the problems I was having, I was attributing them to the Adderall, but I think the Topamax, which is for the migraines and is supposed to be, I think it's supposed to have more of a sedative effect, that was having some bad issues as well. Like it was really tearing up my stomach. It was really disrupting my sleep, and I just didn't think it would be the Topamax because there are no documented issues with Topamax doing that, but I guess it did that to me. So I'm sorry, I keep bringing it up because I'm still waiting to hear back from the doctor, and it can feel like an eternity when it's your life. But it also really brings to the forefront that I miss who I used to be before Nashville, before COVID, before depression robbed me of a lot, and before some really severe migraines robbed me of who I used to be. I miss that person. She was great. I miss who I used to be before social media and YouTube made me afraid, because I knew that if I said, or I felt like if I said the wrong word by accident, that people would just dismiss me and not give me a second chance. And even though I'm just reviewing art supplies, people can still be kind of harsh and just toss you away. So it's made me an extremely cautious person, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's killed a lot of my spirit. And I'm hoping medication will allow me to trust my brain again. I know a lot. I've forgotten more than many people know about art supplies. I'd love to be able to trust my brain again, to trust all that knowledge, and to be able to utilize it and be able to pull it up like that instead of it taking like 20 minutes like an old computer. Like dial-up, trying to pull it up very, very, very slowly. I would love to be quick with it again. So I keep bringing it up because it is super important to me, and having to wait it's hard, you know. I have not been taking the pills because I just couldn't live at that level of vibration. That was like creatures of the fifth dimension levels of vibration. I could see into the past, into the future, into this deep sea, and onto Pluto, but I couldn't even see in the moment, and that was terrifying. So we got to figure something better out. So today was kind of a crummy day. Very, very tired because I took the Topamax last night and I slept I didn't really sleep. And that was, gosh, I haven't slept all week really. Like, it's been really fitful. So I thought I couldn't do another day of it, but I did another day of it. Yeah. And I'm not taking it tonight. I just can't. I'm not. I said it last night, and then my mom talked me into it, and I'm not. And that's on the half dose. I'm supposed to be starting the full dose. Can you imagine? I'm absolutely not. I'll deal with the migraines. Like, the migraines are better than the not sleeping and the not being able to eat. And I really hope those symptoms get written down, so if somebody else is dealing with it, they're like, oh yeah, there's that one weird woman in Louisiana with ADHD who also had that problem. Maybe it'll spare somebody else some issues. But so I was real tired and weird all day, and then you know, it just looks like this house isn't going to be the one for us. Not going to happen. And the housing market around here is getting there's a housing shortage, and it's more competitive. So that's great, especially because I would like to start tabling at shows, and all my show stuff is packed up, and I was hoping we could move and then I could unpack that. And because I would like to start selling my stuff online again, I wanted to set up a beautiful mailing closet because, you know, we're living out of boxes, and I can only juggle so many things, and that is the one more thing that I just couldn't juggle. I mean, I was really, really, really hopeful that I could start making progress with my life, and I'm either going to have to figure out how to make progress around that, or I'm going to have to just keep backburnering it. But, you know, either way, we'll keep looking. We haven't given up, but it's frustrating. For those of you who are looking to be bored, so it is kind of boring. We offered a little over asking price, and then the appraisal came back for about $10,000 less than asking price. So we wanted to go closer to the appraisal, and they still want the asking price, but they also didn't want to make any of the fixes that we asked them to. So they want to find somebody else, and it's like, okay, sure, go for it. We're not gonna make a better offer because you already want over, and it doesn't have some of the amenities that we really wanted, like a larger yard, things like that. So, you know, we'll just have to let it go and hope that the right one is just right there waiting for us. You know, I don't know the story behind the right one, but we're hopeful that it's out there. But, you know, as it is, we got a comfortable place that we're renting in. Gracie, the dog, is loud and a little growly and likes to crash my live streams, but I guess, you know, we've bonded, we've gotten along a little bit better. She lets me pet her. So, you know, we're making progress. I just wish they would, if they saw that I was setting up for a stream, that they would just not let her out until after. It only usually takes about an hour, so it's not a huge request, but, you know, it's a learning experience. But what I actually wanted to talk to y'all about before we say good evening is, oh boy, I'm super beat, y'all. I might just like do this, and then I still gotta edit video. Oh, this is so hard. The ADHD and juggling medicine, like when you're, man, okay, first of all, I have it like relatively easy, you know, like, yeah, I work and I'm self-employed and I have a lot to juggle for sure. Like, no pretending there's a lot going on there, and there are definitely easier times to get diagnosed. 100% a kid in the summer, that's an easier time to get diagnosed. But my heart goes out to the moms who get their ADHD diagnosis and they're working and they're raising kids. You guys are superstars doing the medicine dance for yourselves and maybe for your kids. Y'all are amazing. I have so much respect for you guys because, like, I'm really struggling for just me. I don't have a kid to look at. I just have Bowie, and Joseph is basically looking out for me, you know, like, I don't have a kid that I have to, like, wake up early and get onto a bus and smile and, like, even if I feel like garbage, be super happy for, you know. You guys do, and y'all are superstars, and I have so much respect for y'all. I don't know if other moms tell y'all that. I don't know. I haven't lived that life yet, so I don't know, but, like, from where I'm sitting, y'all are amazing, because this is rough, and it has to be so much rougher if you're a mom. Oh my good gravies. I mean, it's, for me right now, it's just easier not to be on the meds than to be on the too much meds. But, like, I can't imagine, like, so close, but not enough, but too much, but not enough. You know what I mean? Like, so much respect for y'all to stick with it too, to find the right thing. Especially if you are a single mother, or you're not getting support from your spouse, or you're not getting support from your parents, or you're actually getting the opposite and they're being unsupportive and they're being negative about all this. Like, y'all are amazing. Y'all are incredible. I was thinking about y'all earlier today, and it just really put things in perspective. Like, what I'm going through is bad, but what y'all are going through is amazingly bad. And y'all are just superstar. That's all I can say. Y'all are superstars for going through that, and then making sure your kids get the care they need, whether they're ADHD or not, that they get the medicine that they need, and advocating for their needs and going to the school and fighting for them if they need that while you're dealing with your own medicine needs. Y'all are incredible. Y'all are my heroes. Shoot, I'd love to talk to y'all when I get my medicine straightened out and I have extra spoons. I'd love to talk to y'all, because I mean, I feel like that's probably going to be my journey in, like, a few years. You know, once we have the house, we want to start having kids. Like, that's part of, you know, the frustration too, is this chicken ain't getting younger. And I know that's probably something I'm going to have to contend with. And I know my mom had to do it for me, but, like, just to hear what people are dealing with these days would be just good information to know, and camaraderie, and maybe inspirational. So, you know, when y'all got time and when I got spoons, I'd love to chat about it. But what I really wanted to talk to you guys about is, I was actually thinking, depending on how those fabric marker decorated fabric handkerchiefs go, that could actually be kind of a good class project or a good class kit, because it's something that could scale, because those marker packs, they're a little pricey, but you can use them repeatedly, right? Like, one use doesn't use up the whole pack. The handkerchiefs themselves aren't that expensive, and you can buy them in bulk. And then you can kind of buy booster packs of the markers. So you could buy one of the big packs, and then you could get several smaller packs just to make sure you have, like, enough of the primary colors to go around. But, like, one of the big packs, I think 2 to 3 kids could share one of the big packs. So that's something that I ought to, because, like, one day, when the medicine is right, and maybe we have a house, and when we're further along with this and it's safer to do this, I would like to maybe offer my services as, so you know how, like, people have, like, party magicians and party clowns? Well, I was thinking it would be cool to be, like, an art party or a craft party person, where I come and I bring all the supplies. You tell me how many kids are there and what kind of craft they want. Like, I'd have, like, selections of crafts that you could order on my site. I'd bring the supplies. I'd bring everything you need. I'd set it up. Kids come into the room. We do the craft. I'd teach them how to do it. I'd show them how it's done. I would even have, like, line arts and other things for the ones who are not super artsy. And then you could take them out of the room to go do the next activity, and then I'd clean it up for you, and then I'd leave, and hey, they all have a craft, and you don't have to do any of the cleanup or any of the setup or any of the breakup, and you don't have to bring any of the materials. And I was thinking that would be kind of a fun one. And then I also do something kind of like this with Art Squad sometimes, or we're talking about doing this kind of stuff with Art Squad kind of. So this is something that we might do with Art Squad later when we don't have to worry about hand sanitizing everything. But I was thinking, we never really reached, so I made a deal with y'all that if the How to Draw Hands video reached 1,000 views, I would do more tutorials on how I go about teaching. And this would actually be a really fun one to show how I develop like class craft and class project ideas. But y'all, we didn't even break 200, so we're probably not gonna break 2,000 by Tuesday. So unfortunately, that's probably not gonna happen. So that's okay. I got a lot on my plate. But that would have been a good one to do it with, because it's just really already kind of lends itself to that sort of project. So it would be very easy for me to talk about it like that. But anyway, I'm not taking the Topamax tonight, so I really hope I get a good night's sleep, because gosh, I need it. But we actually went out for pho for dinner tonight, because all this week I've basically not been eating. I mean, I've been picking at food. I've talked about it a little bit in the vlogs, because the Adderall and the Topamax together for sure were tearing up my stomach. Even the Topamax kind of tears up my stomach, but it wasn't until we went to Pho Orchid, which is a local Vietnamese place in Metairie, that I like finally felt like eating, and I finally ate like a meal's amount of food all week, which, as somebody who loves food, like losing my appetite was actually very distressing, because I really enjoy food, so losing something you really enjoy is it's very sad, you know? Oh, hey buddy! So I was like kind of getting worried there, because I want to do cookbooks, and I really feel like if you don't like food, you have no business doing cookbooks. And I like cooking some. My attention span, sometimes I really like cooking, and sometimes I only like it some. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cook every day, but when I want to cook, I really want to cook, if that makes sense. So I don't think people who hate cooking have much business doing cookbooks, unless it's a cookbook specifically for people who hate cooking with recipes that they would enjoy, you know what I mean? Or I guess a cookbook for people who really don't like eating specific, you know, like that kind of catered stuff. But it really made me think a lot about my idea for wanting to do a cookbook of recipes for ADHD people, because there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do very simple recipes that don't take a lot of time, so you don't have to dedicate a lot of time in your day to making them. You can do very recipes that generate a lot of food and taste good all week long, like gumbo. So like, if you don't mind eating the same thing over and over and over again, you can just like make a big batch of it, and then you don't have to worry about cooking all week. Or you can have recipes that appeal to people who so people with neurodivergent issues or neurological issues sometimes are labeled as picky eaters, and I always understood why, but this week I really understood why, because I didn't want to eat anything. Like, you could put anything in front of me and I was like, oh, I don't want that. And it wasn't that I didn't like those foods, it was my stomach was so sour, I felt so sick, that the thought, I love sour food. Like, I've talked about sour foods. I refer to myself as a pickle person because I have kind of a salty personality, and the thought of eating my favorite sour foods made me want to throw up. So, you know, like that tells you something. So we often get kind of maligned as being picky eaters when we're really not. So to come up, the challenge, I think maybe 3 sections would be good. So, you know, easy recipes that generate a lot of food you can eat all week, and then recipes that are, that tempt picky eaters. I want to come up with a better term, because I haven't embraced it. I haven't come around to it myself yet. It still gets thrown in my face by immediate family members who are mad that I don't eat mayonnaise. Well, I don't really like mayonnaise. So, I mean, there's been a lot of food abuse and food bullying in my past, so that is also why I didn't want to lose my enjoyment of food, because I had to work really hard to love food again. And I found a lot of joy in ethnic foods. Americana food has been very burnt for me. It's been done wrong in a lot of ways. and I'd been forced to eat it growing up, and it was food that I'd never been forced to eat that I found joy in eating. So yeah, anyway, that's something I really want to do. I know I ought to pitch it every time there's a DV pit or something, but gosh, you know, right now my spoons are very, very limited and the focus is very limited, and I was really hoping we could get the medication sorted a little. I was hoping there's a children's pitch event this week, and I was hoping I could get the medication sorted by then, and I think that was wishful thinking on my part. But I was hoping I would have like a refreshed version of the cookbook to pitch, because like I really, really want to do it, but my thoughts have been just so scattered. I'd like to get back on meds so that I can be able to do that successfully. And then it's so frustrating seeing ideas that I've like vocalized on the internet and someone turn around and pitch it, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if you saw my tweet and you just like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, you just gotta let it go. And there's a danger with me vocalizing these ideas that I want to work on, but there's also, I mean, with, you know, 142 views, it probably isn't gonna happen, but a girl can dream. There's a potential that somebody could also see this and be like, I like her, I'm gonna hire her to do that book, you know? So you could win, you could lose, but me verbalizing it helps me work through it in a way sometimes that writing it down doesn't, because I also have, this is so frustrating for me, because 2 years ago I wasn't like this, and then I started having this series of really, really bad migraines, and I think it caused some damage, and I don't know that ADHD medication will help with this, but I can only hope that it helps bridge those synapses that might have been damaged. But and then I lost the thought. I both have some auditory processing issues, but I also utilize auditory processing to help me think in a different way. So like writing is very useful for me. It helps me think in ways that I can't always think when I verbalize things, and then verbalizing things is very useful because it helps me think in ways that writing isn't always useful. And that's why I used to really love when I could sit down in person with friends and we could talk about our comic projects, because it kind of gave that holistic way of working on your projects, and you could also see their responses, and you could kind of get a feel for what was going to land and what wasn't going to land. And I feel like I just need that I need that environment back in my life. You know, I miss the heck out of that. But anyway, I think it is time to call it an evening. I'm definitely pretty tired. So I hope you guys have a good evening. Much respect to the mamas with ADHD out there, and I guess the dads with ADHD too. I'll never be a dad, so that's a life I will never understand. I will only understand the ADHD part of that life. I'll never understand the fatherhood part. But much respect to you guys as well, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you guys will join me for the fabric art chill stream. So I started my day by starting the second part of the mud test for the cotton rag watercolor block. It also gave me a chance to record a mini tutorial on applying masking fluid that I hope to share to my Instagram reels soon as part of my Instagram challenge. A little work in progress. So while I'm trying to get my medication straightened out, my focus has just been absolutely shot, just totally shot. So I'm having to resort to a very old method, and it's the 10-minute method. Those of you who are familiar with the Pomodoro method might think this sounds familiar, and it is. If you don't have 25 minutes in you, if you don't have 45 minutes in you, maybe you've got 10 minutes in you. And if you've got a smartwatch or if you got your phone handy, you can make this even easier. So, hey Bixby, set timer for 10 minutes.
Your timer
And then while the timer is going, I'm not allowed to do anything else. I have to focus on this. I can't Google for anything that isn't related to, in this instance, seafood and boiled seafood. I can't get up to go to the bathroom. I can't do anything. The house could be on fire and I would just have to watch it burn, because otherwise, when your focus is so garbage, once you start getting up for one thing, you get up for another, and you get up for another, and then you go into a room, and you don't remember why you went in there, and you end up doing something else entirely. And then 6 hours later, you remember what you were originally doing. So that is a very old throwback that's still pretty useful, particularly on those days, ADHD or not, when you just do not have the focus, or maybe you just do not have the time. So today's chill stream is going to be about using fabric markers on handkerchiefs, but you could do them on t-shirts or, you know, tote bags, anything fabric related that, you know, you wanted to decorate, shoes. And we're using the Marvi Uchida graffiti markers, sorry about the glare there, and the Tulip dual tip fabric markers. And I have some inexpensive cotton men's handkerchiefs that I've already washed. They're dried. I did not iron them. I do not iron. And I've also prepared some graphics, and the idea is that we should be able to put the handkerchiefs on top of them and see the graphics underneath. And I also have a fabric pencil here for transferring. And then I was looking at the size of these, and these look a lot like Crayola washable markers, right? So I thought, well, maybe the Crayola airbrush will work in that. So, you know, we've got a few different things to try. I'm excited about the live stream, and I'm a little trepidatious because today I'm also going to try dual streaming to Instagram Live. So I've got a couple of different, won't call them tripods, not even really easels. I've got a couple different mounts that might facilitate the weird format that is necessary for Instagram Live. So that should be interesting. Read it to the camera. She couldn't resist. She had to look.
Dual tip fabric markers. They're
I got
permanent.
both of those on Zulily. Probably did not pay the best price, but they were more expensive at Michael's at the time, so you know.
So it has the big paintbrush tip.
Yeah, hold it up close to the mic.
Can you see it?
Oh,
and
that's
this
gonna
is
fray.
made by Tulip, which is
they
known
make all
for
kinds
making
of fabric
paints and
markers,
stuff.
yeah. And then that's probably like a little Penancy tip.
Oh yeah, I can barely
for fine
see it.
details.
Very fine.
Oh, it doesn't even want to focus. There we go, almost higher. There you go. You can tell she watches a lot of YouTube.
Huh, no, not
you know how to demonstrate it. Makeup stuff, right?
Nope.
Like they always have to do that with makeup stuff.
Nope.
Because it's hard to get the camera to focus on shiny things.
Comes with 14 colors. And I mean, while we're at it, you might as well open up this one, huh?
Yeah.
Those are fabric markers?
Yes, they're both
they're also fabric markers.
That's by a different
markers
brand.
For clothing and home decor.
Okay.
This is by Marvi Uchida.
The dogs are out.
Yeah, they just raced across that way.
They also have a truck that's backed up.
Yeah, her family's visiting, like her brother and extended family. Oh no, these are more like their old alcohol marker bodies, not like super tip. These might work, they might not.
Smell too. I can smell.
Oh, they
stanky.
stanky.
I haven't even.
They nasty smell.
I haven't even opened anything.
You want to work in a well ventilated area.
So how do you do that? I guess like that. I forgot how they work. Yeah, these smell like carbide early in the morning when we would get up. Smell. Oh yeah. Yeah, we smell that. Got to smell that kind of smell. I don't even know how this was in here.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Alright, so this is my resulting bandana from tonight's chill. I began the day with watercolor and I ended the day with watercolor. So I added a little more pigment to this piece of paper, working on this Lilliputian messenger, delivering an important message in the rain. But to be honest, you guys, I am just too beat tonight to continue painting, and the paper is too wet to really allow me to do much with it. So I think I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the evening. So I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Today was the third mud test day for this particular pad of watercolor paper. I think tomorrow I'll be able to wrap up the mud test review of this. So that's good. I liked how it performed. It'll be interesting to see how it handles with all this masking fluid on it, but it does seem to maintain the vibrancy and the granulation of these colors. So it is Tuesday, which is family game day, and I promised you guys that I would review those Five Below games as we actually tried them out. So today, weather permitting, I am setting up ladder ball, slam jam, and the 2-in-1 lawn darts and hopscotch. And all of these were $5 at Five Below. Of the games in the Hilburn Cocoa Olympics, which was your favorite Olympian, Joseph?
Beanbags were the best, and then probably bolo, and then ring toss.
Thank you. And you, Devin Hilburn, which was your stick master? Which was your favorite?
Beanbags.
Beanbag. By far, you were getting serious about beanbags.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was it worth however much I spent?
Well, it's worth the fact that I would like to maybe when they build a
Oh, it sparked an interest. That's cool.
I mean, because if we're gonna do it in the backyard,
Yeah.
it might as well be something nice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was just, I didn't want to spend a lot of money on something we've never tried before. I thought if we could get a decent facsimile and we liked it, then we could spend the money.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, bean bags would be a future thing. And Mom, way in the background. Which was your, you'll have to speak loud because you're gonna, come closer. Stop it. Well, you put moss on me. Which was your favorite game?
I guess ring toss.
Ring toss?
I like fight too.
Yeah. I think my favorite was the bolo ball, and I think my aunt's favorite was the beanbag toss. She seemed to be getting into that one and enjoying herself. So outside game day, even for adults, especially for people who might have health issues or mobility issues, can be a good idea, so long as you, when you're selecting your games, you select with that in mind. And then, despite the rain, or perhaps inspired by it, I worked on this illustration. So most of my effort this evening went to making that plastic sandwich bag look like a plastic sandwich bag. Not entirely there yet, but we're definitely getting there. Hey guys, good evening. It is Tuesday, so I think our little mini Olympics outside was as successful as we could hope. It is pouring now, but at least the weather was held out for us while we were outside messing around in the grass. It's definitely, even though many of those things were very cheap and not fun, it at least, well, I shouldn't say not fun. They didn't perform like the lawn darts thing. They didn't perform the way they were supposed to perform, you know? It still gave us an idea that outside games could be a really good fit for us. So sometimes it can be a little bit, as I've said to you guys before, I am not really a games person. I think as my ADHD has gotten worse over the years, and since I've been off medication, I usually try to save my focus for, you know, my painting or my drawing, and tabletop games do require focus. At least the ones that are actually engaging enough for adults to want to play. You know, sometimes you just want to mix it up, and tossing a beanbag is something almost anybody can get. It does not have complicated rules. It does not stop the games when you re-explain the rules. So I think doing that on occasion is great. It's great to get some exercise. It's great to get outside and enjoy nature. So tomorrow we're looking at another house. We are back on the house hunt. I am so tired of it, but tomorrow I'm tired. I mean, it takes up a lot of energy. It takes up a lot of focus. It's right in the middle of the day. So, you know, we would like to get this handled, but of course we also don't want to overpay. You know, we also don't want to get a house that doesn't fit our needs or is in really poor condition, because this is a massive decision, and even if it is very disruptive and frustrating, you want to do it right. So I'm still doing the medicine dance. So I guess it seems like I'm going to be off that Adderall. This is both really frustrating and something that makes me really hopeful. Just being on that little bit of Adderall, I could see, or I say little, well, 10 milligrams is a little bit, but it was a really bad reaction for me. But it did alleviate some problems, like the social anxiety, which has been such a dark cloud over my life for so long. It also meant, okay, I didn't really realize this, but I am tired all the time. Unless I'm over caffeinated, I am always exhausted. And feeling this tired means I don't do things that I should be doing because I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do it. That is not uncommon for certain types of ADHD. I just had always considered myself more hyper because I tend to manifest that way, but that's me like forcing myself to be energetic when really all I want to do is take a nap. And generally, other than, you know, normal ADHD insomnia, which is usually very treatable with a little bit of melatonin, I get plenty of sleep. I'm not snoring. I don't have sleep issues. So I think this constantly being tired is coming from being not medicated. And I just can't caffeinate myself all day. I cannot live like that all the time, every day. It will make me sick. So, like, on the one hand, I'm really hopeful that finding the right combination of therapy and medication will really open up my life and allow me to participate in all the things that I want to participate in, and will give me the energy to chase all the things I want to chase, and will basically help me be who I used to be back when the world was my oyster and it seemed like opportunities were endless. Also, a lot of my like crankiness and complaininess, it comes from the fact that I'm tired all the time. I'm like a toddler who didn't get enough sleep, and I'm just kind of grumping around. And that's not something you can just force yourself. You can try to get over, but like that only works to a point. So I'm also hoping that, you know, getting on proper medication will help with some of the mood problems too, because I won't be so cranky all the time. I am frustrated because I'm very sensitive to medication, and a little can go a long way. Talking to y'all about this, also partially because I think it's kind of important to document these experiences. Not everyone experiences ADHD the same way. I feel like sometimes talking about these things helps people feel less alone, and it might empower them to feel like if they're having a problem with this, they can talk to their doctor about it, especially for things where this isn't a commonly discussed symptom. I have no idea if there are even any studies on how Topamax affects people with ADHD, or people with ADHD on medication or off medication, because I tried it with both and it was still having really negative effects. I don't really know how much they've put into studying us and trying to figure us out. I think there is more research now than there was back in the day, but if me sharing my experiences can be helpful, then, you know, I'm happy to do so. It does feel kind of weird talking about it in such a granular fashion. It's a very personal thing. I don't necessarily feel like it's an unprofessional thing or reflects poorly, and I do want to normalize mental health, and I want to normalize, see, ADHD is a weird one because it is a learning disability. It can inhibit your learning, but it can also be a mood disability. That's how it tends to affect me. And it can definitely be a social disability because it kind of changes how you are able to interact with other people. And, you know, since it falls into all those categories, I think it is sometimes treated in some ways and not in others. And I think, you know, even just getting to hear other people's experiences about it can be really helpful. And I know now there's loads of people sharing their experiences about it. When I started my life with ADHD, there were a lot fewer of them. So for me, this is just me picking up something, the thread of something I'd started a long time ago, and just kind of, I'm hoping we can like end this with a bow and find the right medication, and we get to, I mean, this is kind of dorky to say it, but I'm really hoping to see my life blossom, because I really feel like things have stagnated for so long, and I've been trapped for so long, and I feel like things are just kind of winding down and dying in a negative way. And it would be really wonderful if medication helped reinvigorate me and help me pursue those things and have the energy to do it for myself. I don't want someone to do it for me. I'm not asking for someone to fix things for me, but if there's something wrong with my brain chemistry that's kind of hindering me from doing the things I want to do or making the progress I'd like to make, then that's something I'd like to work on. So, you know, so we're looking for a house, and medication is in limbo, and I am just absolutely exhausted, which is such a shame because there's so many things I'd like to do, and I'm not exhausted from overwork. I'm just like, just juggling being alive right now has my brain kind of tired. So, as you guys can see, I've been painting. The weather is very rainy, and I guess that is, I'm trying to think if there's anything today that I need to bring up or that I want to bring up, but I think that about covers it for today. So I had a really good time with yesterday's chill stream. I don't know if I expressed that, but I did. I think the 6 o'clock time is a way better time slot, so I'm going to be bumping it later. I really appreciated you guys hanging out and chatting with me. That made it so much more fun, and that's why I'm changing the time slot. It means that more people can make it, and that makes me happy. So that's something that I'm for sure changing, and it does look like we do not hit the goal that I asked regarding making a deal and offering more drawing and teaching tutorials. So unfortunately for some folks, I guess, I'm not going to be prioritizing that. I pushed, I tried, I promoted, you know, and it just wasn't in the cards this time. So unfortunately, if I feel like doing it and if I have the energy, like maybe post-medication I'll feel like doing it. Right now I'm just like, that is a lot. Like, I know how much work that is. That's 2 weeks per video for the how I teach videos. That's a lot of work. And then for the how to draw tutorials for certain topics, that's a couple weeks each video too. So I'm like, that is a lot of work for no one to watch them. So let me sit on that and think about it. But I do have some fun stuff planned for TikTok and for YouTube Shorts and for Instagram. So if you're looking for mini tutorial bites, I am working on some stuff to share this month as I have the energy to do so. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good evening. I hope you guys stay safe, and if you're living in an area of the country that's already warm like I do, then I hope you guys are able to stay cool, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. So earlier today we went to go look at another house, so the house hunt is continuing. And then when I got home, I worked on finishing up this mud test review. So basically removing the masking fluid, removing it from the almost said the pan, from the block, writing up my final thoughts, recording the verdict, that sort of things that I can edit it all. This is going to be one of those videos where I actually live narrate over it, because those are kind of fun to do. I enjoy doing them, and it means I don't have to do as much narration and as much work in post, and that's usually a good thing. I also got around to redoing the calendar for this week. Those of you with astute eyes might have noticed that the last time I redid the calendar, it was in early April, almost a month ago. So it was high time that I sat down and I redid at least a weekly calendar. It'd be nice to have a full month, but it's kind of also nice to break it down week to week and to be able to share the event. So not only am I late in the week for redoing the weekly calendar, since it's Wednesday, but I'm a little bit late in the month as well, though not as far as I could be. I really do enjoy doing these calendars. I've just been kind of struggling between depression and medication issues, and sometimes when you feel like that, you just gotta save your spoons for the absolute most important things, and doing something like this is not always one of the absolute most important things. But I do like having it in the background when I'm doing vlogs, and even when I'm doing some videos. It's kind of a cool reminder, at least for me, of when I recorded a video, because often there can be a discrepancy between when I recorded a video and when it actually goes live. So this week we already had our chill stream. That was the fabric art chill stream, and that ended up being a lot of fun. On Tuesday, we had game night and did a bunch of outside games. And I also shared my Artify unbox and swatch. So if you guys are interested in affordable alcohol markers, I hope you'll check that video out. On Wednesday, today, we had a house tour, and today was also National Cartoonist Day. I tried to do an art share over on Twitter, did not get too many bites, which is a bummer, but I'm glad I attempted it anyway. On Thursday, we have Art Squad, and it's the only Art Squad in May since the library is taking May off from events. But in June, we are coming back in a big way that I'm really excited about. It's one of the reasons I pushed myself to get the vaccine, and I look forward to being able to talk to you guys about that. Then on Friday, I'm going to do my Instagram check-in for this vlog that I'm working on for the I Tried It Instagram challenge. On Saturday, we are going to a botanical garden up in the Baton Rouge area to celebrate Mother's Day with Joseph's family. I've never been to that botanical garden. I'm really excited about it because I love botanical gardens, and hopefully I'll get some beautiful reference photos. And then, and I'm also sharing the field test for the Artify alcohol markers. So if you'd like to see how those markers handle, I guess watch yesterday's upload because that'll cover it. And then on Sunday, it's Mother's Day. I'm gonna take my mom out for lunch, and I have a new vlog that's going live on Mother's Day. Well, this is the vlog. This went live on Mother's Day. And then this is the first full week of the Instagram challenge. So it has been interesting, and I look forward to seeing what a week brings. And although it is disgustingly humid, I still managed to get some paint on the paper and work on this illustration of a Lilliputian messenger delivering mail in rain just about as dreary as this week has been. Today's weather was not super bad. It wasn't really rainy, but it was humid. And my paper did not want to dry. I'm sitting here at my desk, doing the voiceover, looking at my not yet dry paper, still waiting for it to dry. And definitely the humidity and paper not wanting to dry can cause so many problems with watercolor illustration. It can cause spidering, it can cause bleeding. The paper can seem like it's dry and then behave really strangely. And I do have a whole house dehumidifier that's running most of the time. And I also have a whole house AC unit running all of the time. But it is hard to compete with Louisiana humidity. They sure do try though, and I would not necessarily be doing the amount of watercolor that I do in a house that didn't have those, just me personally, because I'm not really a fan of using a hairdryer to dry my illustrations. I find that it tends to actually turn my illustrations even more chalky than they can sometimes get. So for me, that doesn't necessarily work, but I know a lot of artists like that technique. That's fine. It's always a your mileage may vary sort of situation. So since it is so humid for me to be able to remove the masking fluid and actually start painting some of the raindrops, I'm going to have to let this dry overnight because I did, as you guys can see, saturate the paper a few times with a spray bottle. And even though that was a couple hours ago, the paper is still pretty damp to the touch. So I think it's going to need all night with the fan on in this room for it to really fully dry out. And I've said this in other videos, but I do think that can be a good opportunity to give your brain a chance to take a break, because often if you're oversaturated with working on a piece, your problem-solving abilities aren't as good as they would be as if you were coming to it fresh or had a chance to sleep on it. And honestly, back in my good days, my brain used to solve my art problems for me while I slept. I wish it would do that now. It has not done that since SCAD, but it sure would be helpful if it did some of the heavy lifting for me while I was catching some Z's. But then I guess it would truly feel like I never stopped working. So today I mostly worked on finishing up this painting as well as getting some stuff ready for Instagram. Although two good pieces of life did happen. I was able to go pick up my Ritalin prescription. So trying something new, fingers crossed that it's gonna be, a big deal. And Art Squad was today. It is the only Art Squad in May. And then in June, we actually get to have Art Squad in person. So I'm really looking forward to that. I also found out that my supervisor at the library recommended me to another library system, so I'm really, really appreciative when I work with people who are looking out for me, especially when I find out that they think I'm doing a good job and that they like the work that I'm doing. It really means a lot, and it makes, I already like teaching kids, so it makes something I already love even more of a joy. But I was able to finish this piece today, so who knows what tomorrow will hold. Although I did get an order in from BREC, and I'm kind of thinking of doing a live stream on Friday. Hey guys, happy Saturday. I apologize that this isn't much of a blog entry. I started the Ritalin today. It seems to be giving me good results. I'm pretty happy about that, but I want to give it some more time before I make any kind of long-term, long-lasting decision, but it definitely seems like a move in the right direction. So I was able to get up and get some work done earlier today. I was able to focus better. I was working on penciling a watercolor illustration. And then afterwards, we went to Banting's, which is a plant nursery in Bridge City. It's one of my favorite places to just go and look at all the nice plants, as you guys can see here. After that, I recorded my Friday update for my I Tried It Instagram month-long challenge, which I'm getting more excited about. I hope you guys will check it out. And then I finally ended my day with a live stream. It's been a long time since I was able to do a live stream on a Friday night with you guys. I really missed it. This one was a lot of fun, very relaxed and chill. It was mostly just swatching some watercolors that had come in from BREC and talking about some of my favorite watercolors. So to me, a most excellent way to enjoy a live stream. So tomorrow we're headed out to the Botanical Gardens, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then Sunday is Mother's Day. And before I forget, I want to wish all the mothers watching this a very happy Mother's Day. All right, well, that is about it for my Saturday. Wait, Friday. Sorry, it's Friday. I'm all mixed up. That's about it for my Friday. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully I will too, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, today we're going to the Independence Botanical Garden in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So let's hop in the car and get going. So this botanical garden is part of BREC, and that means that admission is free. And apparently all of BREC's parks have free admission. So if you're looking for something to do and you want to go out and enjoy nature, the botanical gardens right next to the main branch library is not a bad option. Free and beautiful. Can't go wrong with that. Well guys, this week has been quite a week. I know I look very sun-kissed and frazzled. We were out at the botanical garden all day, and it's actually kind of late. So I'm trying to wrap up this week's vlog, get some penciling in, and wrap up the botanical garden vlog so that's, well, everything but this is ready for you guys tomorrow. So yesterday, which was Friday, I started taking Ritalin again, and that's interesting because I have not taken Ritalin in like 20 years. Seriously, 20 years. The first time, I mean, I've talked about this a lot, but I'll kind of catch up. The first time, no one at any point in the 10 years I'd been taking Ritalin and Concerta, at that point, no one had ever asked me how I felt about it. There was never any agency on my part. In fact, there had been several times where I wanted off the medication for various reasons, and at the time I felt like my concerns were just absolutely disregarded. This time is very different. I asked to be put on it. I am an adult, so I do have that agency. And I wanted to go back on medication for ADHD to get treatment for my ADHD because although I had functioned without medication quite well for several years, COVID, the pandemic, and quarantine just kind of killed what momentum I had going. I lost conventions, I lost teaching gigs, I lost a lot of the external, and a lot of my friends left comics. So I lost a lot of the external structure that helped me function as a self-employed individual who has to make basically every job opportunity that came my way. So I was at the point where I was incredibly depressed. I know y'all could tell. I tried not to dwell on it, but it was something I was dealing with just all the time. I was also dealing with this extreme fatigue that I couldn't figure out why I felt that way. My doctor at first thought it was allergies, and it might be somewhat, but it was just all the time fatigue. I just didn't have any energy. I didn't have energy to socialize. I didn't have energy to respond to people online. I didn't have energy to try new things. I was getting increasingly more and more in a rut. I definitely didn't have energy to make comics. And when I was dealing with depression and fatigue, that doesn't leave you with much anything to create art. So I was at the point where I was like, I have to find some kind of relief. This is not, I can't live my life like this. So I'd kind of come about it of my own volition. At first she had me on Adderall. It was 10 milligrams extended release, the little shaky pill, and that was bad, okay? It basically made me manic. I have a family member who has bipolar, and I've seen manic, I've seen mania. It was making me like that. And I knew if I stayed, sometimes people are like, well, you just got to give the medicine enough time. But I've been on ADHD medication in the past. I knew it wasn't supposed to make me feel like I could claw my skin off and climb the wall at the same time, which is how I felt, which was terrifying. All of my hand picking, which is always kind of there in the background, but it was very prevalent. I started having facial tics. My stutter was really bad, and I couldn't keep a train of thought. So I was like, I cannot do Adderall. So I asked to be put to try. She suggested a bunch of other stuff like Wellbutrin and Strattera, which are not technically ADHD medications. They were for something else, and they're used to treat ADHD. But I asked to be put on the other class of stimulants, or to try it, because that's something that I tried as a kid, or I'd been on for a decade as a kid, and it didn't make me feel like the Adderall made me feel. So today was my second day on Ritalin. I am taking 2 5-milligram pills, not time release, which I like. I think my body deals with that better. I'm actually hungry, which is good. I want to eat things, so that's good. I'm not having the stomach problems. I can sleep so far. I can sleep well at night. And I think this is just me. I did like ask my family, and I asked my husband's family. Like, I was just blunt with them. I was like, look, I'm trying out a new medicine. If it makes me weird, if it makes me too hyper, if it makes me say things that don't seem like me, please tell me, because I might not catch it, and I need to tell my doctor that this is a problem. Because for me, the social stuff has always been the most terrifying part of being ADHD. Tripping over minefields in conversation. That's how I learned how to be funny, is when you're not pretty, and I was a funky looking child, and you don't have any social grace at all, you better be funny, because otherwise no one will have anything to do with you. And they said they didn't notice anything. They didn't notice necessarily a difference, which is good, because I feel like I am definitely more alert, which is good, because like I said, I was just exhausted all the, I didn't sleep. I have like a policy that I don't sleep during the day unless I have a migraine, but I could have slept all day. And I know depression does that to an extent, but I've had depression before, and I work through it not like I work through my problems in a healthy, holistic way. I mean, I literally force myself to work through it like many artists do, which is not a great idea, but depression has never kept me from working. That fatigue was keeping me from working. I would just like sit and just stare out into space and be tired, which, as someone who's combination type ADHD, has never, when I daydream, I usually can use that, or I feel rested after. It never feels entirely just like a waste, you know? But this was just like losing time in space. So, I mean, it's been a long day. I'm tired. It's almost bedtime. So if I seem kind of tired and out of it, that's why. It's just been a long day. But I'm liking the medication a lot better. I'm finding it easier to focus. I'm finding myself awake. I'm finding it easier to engage for long periods of time in tasks again, which was something else I'd lost. I was having to, as I told you guys, like set a timer for 10 minutes. I was like, you're just going to do this for 10 minutes. And then I'd set a timer for 10 minutes again. I mean, it was getting really unmanageable for me. I was using all my ADHD, accommodation techniques, you know, like planners and timers and all the head games I could, and it wasn't enough. And comics and illustration, at least in my area of the internet, there really isn't a lot of extrinsic motivation. But my goal right now is I really want to finish up the Kara Kickstarter. So people have gotten their books, so at least I don't feel bad about that. But I have all the other rewards that I want to fill, and I wanted to be able to fill those with I didn't just want to like crap something out, right? I wanted it to be stuff people really liked, and I knew I had to not be in that horrible fatigue, depression headspace. So I think we can move forward, and I'm really happy about that. Right now, I have been, I mean, it's not a right now thing. It's been like it's been all COVID, but it's also been since 2016. I've just had a hard time making comics. It's gotten really bad the past couple years. Some of that is the depression stuff, and some of it is, there was a thread online where people, let me actually read it. Super cool, Becca, quoting Twitter. Give me a sec. Sorry. So, Lonnie Nadler said, so many of my creator friends have expressed the desire to quit comics or find an alternative career recently. This is not a reflection of these individuals or their resolve, but rather of an industry that so rarely rewards hard work, artistry, and passion. And I think most of my grind artist friends know this. If you didn't go viral popular, you've lived this life. The comic industry is ferocious, has been for decades. We need to find a way to better uplift those who pour their hearts into these books. And not just with books, these tutorials, these art assets, the people who make brushes and distribute them and then find their brushes on like scraper clip art sites where they're making money from it, but the artist never sees a dime. Anyone who makes content that is artistic or meant to educate with art, there needs to be a better way to reward those people. I've said that for a really long time, and people used to call me entitled for it. I'm so glad other people are saying this. It's not a particularly hot take. As creators, publishers, readers, we must work towards building a space with more loyalty, more respect, and more honesty. To be clear, I'm not personally considering quitting comics. I love the medium, I love the work, I love the people. However, I can empathize with those who do feel burnout, and I want this to be a better, healthier industry for everyone. And I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment, but I wanted to add some stuff because I've actually noticed, and it wasn't tonight until it really gelled, a lot of my cohorts, the people who are about my age, have quit comics, have quit making web comics, have quit making professionally published comics. There's some outliers. It's not universal. I still make comics, but most of the people in my age group that I went to cons with for like a decade, that I talk to online all the time, they've left comics. They can't anymore. And I 100% respect that. Me talking about this is not me, like, at all. I get it. Like, I get it. It's not me judging there. But I wanted to talk about it with you guys because it is really an important thing. It's something many of us are very ashamed to talk about. It's kind of difficult not to talk about this with anger. And that's why I was quiet about it for years, because I was so angry about this, the way this is, that I didn't feel comfortable talking about it because I don't ever want it to sound like it's an accusation. We can all do better. I can do better, and I'm hoping on medication with my renewed energy levels, I can engage the way I used to, because I used to love complimenting people's art. I used to love just pouring over it and then writing a really nice comment. I know how much that means to people because I know how much it means to me. I have a doc where we copy and paste all the nice things you guys say. And theoretically, I should read it on bad days, but what I want to do, and not that this precludes that, but I would actually like to get them printed up and put them on my wall so I can see them. Because I often feel, I'll tell you guys, so sorry for reading Twitter at y'all, but I said it in a way that I really like. And instead of like trying to paraphrase it, I'd rather just read it and talk to you guys. So I said, I've been really struggling with my place in comics, both online and off. The work I make and how disconnected I feel from almost anyone who reads and enjoys my comics. That's how I feel. Last retweet, so the thing I just read you guys, has been on my mind for the past 4 years, especially this year. It has taken everything in me not to give up entirely, and that is the honest to God truth. Every single day I think about giving up. Every morning when I take a bath, I have to fight that depression. Every day. There are no days, unless I have to get up at like 6 for something and I don't even have time to think about it. There are no days I don't struggle with that. It has taken everything in me not to give up entirely, not to just walk away. Every Thursday, scheduling my update feels futile. I haven't had it in me to make comics since I finished the bonus 4 comas in November, and sadly, that's the truth. I would really like to get back to making comics because it is, as you guys know, I love comics. I champion comics, I read comics, I'm always recommending comics. I used to love teaching other people how to make comics. I love comics, and I have said for about 5 years now that I love the medium and I hate the industry. And the industry has changed, but there's still a lot about it. That's like, if you're not published by XYZ publisher, there are lots of people who won't even talk to you. It doesn't matter if they grew up on your tutorials. It doesn't matter if you taught them how to do conventions. If you haven't hit that milestone and they have hit that milestone, they don't need you anymore. They won't talk to you. And I think that's really shameful, frankly. So I go into it a little bit for some context. I asked for reviews. I can't even hit the minimum number to advertise on Amazon. I need encouragement and motivation. I used to find it on Twitter, and that's few and far between for all of us, which is very true. A lot of people who are just kind of meat and potatoes comic artists, the people who make the comics you read every Friday, or used to read every Friday or every Thursday or whenever update is, a lot of them don't get a lot of encouragement from their readers. Sometimes they don't ever hear anything from their readers at all. I've often wondered for the last 2 years if this dry spell is what's going to do me in finally. And I mean that about comics. I don't mean I'm going to kill myself. The slow and sad grinding death of comics. I promised myself that I'd wait till after medication to see if that helps with the depression, helps make motivation a bit easier. And I mean that. That's why it was so important that I resume medication, because if I'm going to make this decision, I want to make it after having gotten help a fair shot to see if it helps change things for the better. But when it's all intrinsic motivation and everything is uphill, it gets harder to keep going every time I stop. Almost all my comic friends have dropped out. This is when I realized this is what's making it the hardest for me. I don't need constant accolades. I don't need adulation. I don't need constant money. I don't need all those wonderful but not really necessary extrinsic things. What I really missed was the community. And I mean, we had our ups and downs in Ink Drop, but we had a community. Well, that's not exactly true. The core members of the group and some of our chatters formed a community. We had a lot of people who just took from us and never gave back, which is not community, but you get that in any group. Almost all of my comic friends have dropped out. The past 5 years have driven so many talents out of webcomics. Legit, I look at comics and I see mostly people 5 to 10 years older than me. So people who got their start in the early 2000s, a lot of them were working for Tokyo Pop for a while or were in webcomics way back then. Nothing wrong with that. I admire the heck out of them. They inspired so many of us. That is not a judgment call at all. But I see people mostly 5 to 10 years older than me who started in the 2000s and relatively new faces who started in the past 4 years. I'm seeing a lot of people who just started 2 years ago, and that is wonderful. Welcome to comics. But most of my cohorts, the people my age, the people I went to cons with, have had to walk away. They couldn't make a living from it. They couldn't hold out. And, you know, with the pandemic and then with the past 4 years presidency, it has not been easy for a lot of people, especially people in creative professions. It's not a universal, but a lot of seats are empty. A lot of people I care about are now gone. And when I say gone, I don't mean, I want to make sure you guys know, they're not dead. They just left the internet. I don't know, they're still alive somewhere. Maybe they're a corn farmer in Iowa, I don't know. But they left comics, they left that life. The loss is huge. Those friendly, familiar faces at cons, to share a hotel, to share a table, to share a meal, gone. Those friends who check in on you, check in on your comic, care about your characters, and ask weird questions at 1 a.m. about your OCs, which I loved, gone. The people who recommend you to their friends, who introduce you to the folks they know, gone. The network built with love and care, a tattered, moth-eaten, hole-filled net with maybe just 2 knots left. And when I talk about networking, I don't mean, anyone who has met me in real life, you probably know, like, I will be friends with almost anybody who's friendly and not a creep. You know, like, I don't care if you're just starting art. I don't care if you, well, I think it's super cool if you're just starting art. And I think it's super cool if you've been into art forever. I guess I should say, I think every stage of the journey is really cool. I don't care if you have a lot, if you're like, you know, I don't care if this relationship in the beginning is one-sided where you're learning a lot and you don't necessarily have a lot to offer in return, because the point of a relationship is you develop and eventually there's give and take. You can both contribute to the relationship. So when I'm talking about like losing my network, I was never a ladder climber when it came to making friends. I made friends with people who I liked their comics. I looked up to them when I was learning how to make comics. I find their work inspirational, or they just seem nice and kind of cool, you know, like it's not about, you know, scaling the heights, but network, whether it's people who you utilize to grow professionally or people you just care about who care about your work, losing your network, it's horrible. It's really horrible. And the pandemic meant we couldn't see each other at cons anymore. It meant we couldn't visit each other even if there weren't any cons. It meant people were taking on, like, some of my friends lost their jobs, and it meant they had to work like weird hours at these jobs that don't pay much, so they're working 6 jobs. It killed off a lot of the comic artistic dreams for many people my age. I mean, we were hit with the recession in 2008. Many of us were just graduating college then, so that kind of set us back. And then the past 4 years, like I said, have not necessarily been great to creative people in creative careers, and funding to schools has been cut. So if you were augmenting your money by doing speaking engagements at school and teaching them how to do what you know how to do for like a day trip, or you were teaching art, or you were teaching music, that might be gone now. or you lived in a town where, you know, it was always kind of an uncomfortable, uneasy relationship with the town, but the rent was real good, and it reached the point where you realized you could not stay there anymore, so you had to move back home or you had to move somewhere else, and that changed your life. So many people my age, like let's be generous, from the 30 to 37 bracket, not everybody, but a lot of people left comics, or they went into drawing smut comics, which we can still be friends, but we don't necessarily table together at cons just because we sell very different stuff. When you draw those kind of comics, you're just friends with different people. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you tend to circulate in groups for people who draw the kind of stuff you like to draw, people who draw the kind of stuff you like to read, and a lot of the people who tell the kind of stories I like, and a lot of the people who draw the kind of stories I like and who like my work have left comics. Like, a lot of them are like really gentle souls, and it just ground them down. And I miss the heck out of them. I love them, and now that they're like out of comics, I miss them. But I mean, I miss talking about plot, mine or theirs. It doesn't have to be about me, but I miss that like interaction where we're storytellers telling our stories to each other and getting feedback. That's huge. I miss having beta readers I could rely on who cared about the story and would point out plot holes and inconsistencies with glee. Oh my gosh, some of my favorite beta readers were so right, but dang it, they would point out things, and I'd be like, oh, that means I gotta draw 4 more pages, and they'd be like, yeah, and I'd be like, do I have to? And they'd be like, well, you don't have to, but it needs it, and I'd be like, you're right. They were my favorites because they did the most for the story. When you can point out problems, and they had no problems being like, yeah, that didn't make sense, you do something about that. Or they would throw out ideas like, this doesn't make sense, this is what I would do to fix it. I miss those friends. I miss that support system. When I had that support system, I was happier. I felt way more secure as an artist. I felt very valued as an artist, and I could see my work improving. But like, even my friends who haven't left art entirely, a lot of them are not making comics. They don't necessarily plan on making comics. They're doing a lot of freelance. They're doing a lot of commissions. They're doing a lot of stuff that can pay the bills, and I respect that. But, you know, that's face is gone. People I care about in that regard gone. Like, I still talk to many of these friends. We're not just friends because of comics, but I've lost that, like, I lost the ability to feel comfortable being like, hey, can you look at the script for this chapter and, like, I don't know, tell me if I'm being too self-indulgent, because it's like, well, they left comics. Like, I don't want to, like, take up their time. You know, like, you lose feeling like when you ask them to check out your comic stuff, it's a reciprocal relationship where you can do that for them in return. And I miss that. Like, I know my work is weaker without it, and it's like, I'm embarrassed, but without their and to get to that point with someone like you, for me, I can't ask just anybody to beta read my stuff. Like, I have to be good friends with them. Not because I think they'll sugarcoat things, but because I know they care about me, my happiness, and what's best for the work that I'm making. They are not going to just dismiss everything I'm doing out of hand. They're not going to tell me to repaint or redraw an entire chapter. They're going to try to help me find real solutions. So that's a trust relationship. And look, when my beta reader friends tell me to do something, I don't try to just argue with them just to argue with them. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to, like, make this work. With the time that I have and the materials I have. But like, I would never just shoot. I always take their suggestions very seriously because I trust them. So that's a really important relationship for me, and it's not an easy one. And part of that is because while I was at SCAD, I got some very, very valid criticism. A lot of valid criticism. But I also got some garbage criticism, like women don't read comics, was like, girls don't read comics. People don't want to read a story with a female main character. So, you know, you need to be able to trust people so you can filter out that noise and know what not to take too seriously. So, you know, losing that network of people that I could send my work to, I knew they were going to give me good advice. I knew they cared about the story. I knew they were good at editing. That's a big deal. That's a big loss. And I loved that kind of camaraderie I loved when I legit felt like we were all cheering each other on, when it wasn't just some of us doing all the cheering. Miss, like, feeling like found family, you know? And that's just, like, the past 4 years have taken all of that from me, you know? And that's something that eventually one can rebuild, but it's harder when everybody who from your group, like, you have to start from scratch, not because they don't care about you as a person, but because they just legit left the industry. They are donezo, and, you know, you have to start rebuilding those networks. And the thing about webcomics and comics is that this happens all the time. It happens every 5 years. It happened to me 5 years ago and I completely rebuilt. It happened 5 years prior to that. Like, every 5 years, something big enough happens where people just can't afford to keep making these comics for people to read for freezies online anymore. And a bunch of people have to leave, and they don't leave all at once. It, like, slowly grinds people down until they just disappear. And that's rough. Like, I know this is kind of a more raw vlog about the topic, but it's something that it breaks my heart, and I think about it a lot. Like, if I actually don't really want to go back to doing, like, anime cons. They were fine. I had fun at the time, but I'm starting to get more and more migraines, and I just don't have the stamina anymore. But I still want to do indie cons and comic shows. But, like, it's at the point where, like, I'm not seeing even, like, 5 old familiar faces. It's like a bunch of new people. And while that can be exciting, that can be fun to get to meet new people, a big part of the reward is that, like, for people who are in webcomics, y'all know a big part of that reward is that camaraderie, is that, oh, we're gonna go out to dinner with like 20 of our friends from the internet that we never get to see, and being really excited about that. And, like, when you do, like, anime cons are not really like that when you're a webcomic person, because you might be the only webcomic person there. So, you know, I've already gotten a taste for that, and I know how it just takes a lot of the fun out of the job. And frankly, we don't, as artists and comic artists who are making webcomics that people read for free on the internet, we're not making enough money for the job not to be fun. So, you know, I don't necessarily have I'm not proposing any solutions, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to, as my energy levels go up with the medication, I'm going to try to be more present for the people who are still out there and are still making art, because I've allowed depression to take that away from me. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people. Like, I don't want to just sit here and, like, act like I don't want to, like, accuse people or be unfair or anything like that, because I think this has been a really hard year. I've tried to always admit that when we talk about COVID here on the vlog, and I don't think I handled it better than anyone. I think I handled it not well. I'm real proud of myself for, like, being alive and sticking it out, you know, and I'm proud of y'all. If that's where you're at too, if all you can do is get out of bed and be out of bed, I'm proud of you, because there are days where it's just really hard, you know. And I know a lot of people who worked in office environments before COVID, having lost that office camaraderie, that's really hard on them too. Well, that happened to a lot of us as well. A lot of us work from home, self-employed people. We lost that camaraderie. We only got that like once or twice a year, but it was like the highlight of our year. You know, I have a friend who, he's still like a very dear friend of mine, even though we don't get to talk often. And I truly, whenever he can beta read my stuff, I really value it, because he's an excellent writer and he has some really good ideas, but he has major health issues. So we don't get to talk all that often, and I can't see him at shows. He can't go to shows anymore. And I was really hoping he could make it out to SPX just to visit, because he lives in the area, and his health was just too bad that weekend, you know. And I was actually kind of bummed out, because I was really hoping we could get dinner together, because this was a friend of mine since grad school, you know. And it's just, I'm not telling y'all this just to like whine and, you know, oh, I'm lonely. Like, I mean, that's legit. What I'm saying is our industry the paid part, the unpaid part, the constant commissions, the constantly grinding yourself down. You know, I knew I was never going to make a lot of money as an artist. I knew that. That was not the problem. I was okay with that. That's why I went to grad school, was so I could also teach. Like, I wasn't like naive about that. It's not necessarily the money, it's the watching all your friends who made the comics you like, who you went to cons with, who you shared hotels with, who you would eat dinner with, who you'd stay up super late geeking out about y'all's very specific fandom that no one else is into. It could be your webcomic, it could be this other thing you're reading, it doesn't matter. And watching them be like, I can't anymore. I used to love drawing and I can't anymore. It's really, really sad and heartbreaking. And I'm not like trying to scare anyone. I'm not trying to accuse anyone. But if we can somehow find a way, I mean, look, social media, the way the algorithms are set up, social media is not set up to help artists. Like YouTube, YouTube is not set up to help artists. Okay, if you're just doing straightforward art educational content for the most part, it's very, very hard to build an audience that sticks around and watches a lot of your videos. Okay, that's, if you're not entertaining, if you're not art for entertainment, if you're art for education, it's hard to do that. There's some brand channels where they share how to use their materials and they get fewer views than I do, and I don't get many views, and they have fewer subscribers than I do. You know, like, it is already like this YouTube could have been an amazing service for teaching people how to do things, and it kind of is in some regards if you're entertaining enough and you have enough budget to throw at it. But if you don't and you're just doing education and you're the entertainment, it's very difficult on here. Twitter is not designed. They finally like alleviated the crop so you can post portrait format stuff. It doesn't all have to be landscape. Do you know how hard that is for comic artists? How bad that was for comic artists for years, the landscape crop? And then it would always crop on the boobs. Like, it didn't matter where you tried to put the crop, it was never on the face. So like, and they were like, oh, it's the area of most contrast. No, I mean, you know, Twitter's got its problems. Like, boy, the facial identification algorithm, like not being able to identify black people's faces, like that is super messed up. And I guess the way they alleviated that is they got rid of the crop. Maybe they shouldn't have been trying to guess where people's faces were to begin with. Like, if you have a family portrait and everyone's different heights, you're gonna have a bunch of different faces. So like, Twitter is not really geared towards artists, and it's certainly not geared towards nuanced discussion of complicated topics either, but that's another kettle of corn. Instagram, I'm doing the I Tried It Instagram challenge. It is, you would think Instagram would be really good for artists, but it's really not, because the amount of photos, the amount of updates you have to grind out is a lot just for them to start showing your work to people. And then the likes to effort ratio is not super great. Artful is a new one. I haven't been using it that much. I should, maybe now that my energy level's coming back, I should. It's for artists. So, you know, that's a platform actually for artists, for people who like to look at art too. So, you know, that could be a really good thing. And then TikTok, like, I mean, people have explained it. Oh, Lucky Veda did a really good job explaining like how TikTok isn't necessarily so great, why it's not so great for artists, and I agree with that. I think, I mean, I like using TikTok. I like sharing little snippets and stuff, but I have no expectations of it. It's just something I'm doing for fun, you know. But I think people like seeing a spectacle, and unless you're just like, wha-bam, spectacle, you trick them a little bit, you do something that's a little deceptive, a little sleight of hand when it comes to art, it's harder to keep people looking, keep people coming back and just watching. Because what TikTok wants is you just watching and scrolling, watching and scrolling, watching and scrolling. And, you know, art is not necessarily the most geared towards that. So, you know, we're already kind of fighting an uphill battle with social media, and then with quarantine, where so many of us were very isolated, and it's not, I think many of us don't come from artist families, so it's not like, oh gosh, like one of the things I miss the most, for real, and I kind of get it from Art Squad, but I really just miss hanging out with a friend, noodling around in my sketchbook and just talking about art supplies and our characters. That's one of the things I miss so much. And it is such like a simple thing. But as we get older and we have more responsibilities and we have more priorities, it's really hard to fit that in unless you can go do it in person. So, I mean, I wish I could I wish I had some really good solution. I wish I could be like, here's the fix for this. I mean, I'm gonna try to stick it out, you know. I love comics. At one point I really loved making comics. I'm really hoping I can find that in me again. It would be really helpful if people who enjoy 7-inch Kara would come hang out in the paint box and talk to me about it, and because that would get me really hyped up. I would want to go back to working on it again so I can tell the story for them, because I've talked to you guys about this in the past. Like art is communication for me. I make art because in many stages of my life I've had a lot of trouble expressing myself in a way that other people understood. I was misunderstood a lot. I think I told the story about how growing up, my mom thought I had a really bad personality because I was always like this, but my eyesight's actually not great, and I'm actually very sensitive to bright lights, which is funny because I'm working on the surface of the sun. Because when I got glasses, it was like, oh, your personality improved, and it's like, because I can see. So I like comics because in a way they allow me to communicate the best of myself and the worst of myself and the most vulnerable of myself. And they also, in my opinion, comics invite people to read and stick around and stay longer and try to figure out the characters in a way that we don't always treat other people in real life or online. So I like comics as a form of communication. I'm reading Blue Period right now, which is really, really good. If you like art, if you like drawing, you need to read Blue Period. It is great. I always love manga about making comics and manga about art because it's I feel seen, and that's why I make comics. That's why Kara is coded to be ADHD, because I want someone to feel seen and loved. And it's hard to make something that is so tender and so emotional and so imbued with your best human feelings, and then you don't hear a lot back. You don't know if people liked it. You don't know if they were disappointed. You don't know if they spent money on it and they're kind of regretting spending money on it. I mean, you never really want to hear those things, but you don't even know. And then your brain starts to be like, well, that's what it is. They were just disappointed in it, and that's why they're not saying anything. And I mean, in reality, people are busy. I don't always have time to review. I try to, when I read indie stuff, I try to review it, at least a star rating on Goodreads, and then usually I'll come back and write more of a review, because I know it's really important for indie creators, whether they're rep by a company or they are self-publishing, to have those reviews out there. I know it firsthand. The reviews help sell books. The reviews convince parents. They convince librarians to give the books a chance. They convince podcasters to give you the time of day and talk to you. You can use them when promoting the book, so it can help with further sales, which can help keep you solvent. So, if you ever think my review isn't really that important. I mean, I review art supplies for a reason. I think it's important. So I think it's important to leave reviews to the creator. Now, generally, if I have a lot of unpleasant stuff to say, I actually won't leave a review. Especially for indie stuff, because I'm not looking to first of all, I don't want to yuck somebody else's yum. It could be a matter of taste. There's comics that I love that other people hate, and there are comics that I think are stupid that other people love. So if it's something like that, I usually just don't say anything, because I don't want to, I'm not going to yuck somebody else's yum, and I also don't want to hurt somebody else's career and their income. And I've had friends who, I love them, and I know their art's good, but the comic they're working on just isn't for me. So I think about it like that when I'm leaving reviews. And it's the same with handmade art supplies, is if I don't have something positive to say or constructive to say or mostly good, let's say it's a B+. If it's not a B+, I'm not going to review it. With the Jasper Stardust, that is kind of different, because he sells so much of that, and there were some pretty major problems with those. But in general, I try to you know, be gentle with fellow handmade creators, because we don't all have access to mass manufacturing goods. We don't all have access to bulk high quality gum Arabic, and we don't all have access to editors and, you know, colorists and flatters and inkers and letterers, all the people who could like help someone who's doing it all by themselves really make their art shine. So sometimes it's better to just reach, if you're friendly with that creator, reach out to them, talk to them, offer to be a beta reader, especially if you like what they're doing. That could be helpful, because there are people I would love to ask to beta read Kara, and I just figure they're way too busy. And when I need a beta reader, I usually ask them to read all of the stages. So the script, the thumbs, the roughs. I usually have them read and critique all of that in various points, so it can be really time consuming. But anyway, we sure did talk about a lot of comic stuff, which is good. I have really wanted to talk more about comic stuff here on the channel. I miss talking about comics. I do think I miss making comics. I just need to like get my motivation up, get hyped up again, remember all the things that I used to love about making comics. And a really good way, if you like Kara and you want me to continue making Kara, like a really good way to help do that is to, like I said, come talk to me on the paint box and tell me what you like about it. You can tell me every update what you like about it, and I will love you. You'll be my favorite, because that's the kind of motivation I need right now. It's not a forever thing, but like just to get me moving again, that's the kind of push I need. So anyway, it is the end of the week. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, so if you are on good terms with your mom, tell her you love her. If you have a older sister who has always looked out for her, you know, we don't get a day. It would be, and we're often the little mama. Is that a term for y'all? Like down here, it is actually, it's used like as like a flirtatious term, like, hey, little mama, but also as like, people think they're cute when they refer to a 9-year-old girl who's stuck taking care of many of her relatives as like a little mama. So like thank her, tell her you love her, tell her you value that she looked out for you. Or if it was like a male or a non-binary family member, like, or person in your life, please tell them that tomorrow. Like, use Mother's Day as a day to be thankful to the people who have been nurturing to you in your life, because I think a lot of those people get very taken for granted, especially in this country where being kind and nurturing is sometimes seen as a weakness. You know, tell them you appreciate them, that you love them, that their existence is important and meaningful to you. People don't hear those kind of compliments enough. I know that because I try to give those kind of compliments, and people who don't know me look at me like I am the craziest person in the world, but I think people don't get like really genuine, sincere compliments enough. So if you've got like a mother or a little mother or an aunt you're really close to, or an auntie or a godmother or a grandmother, or someone adopted, like literally or figuratively adopted you and mothered you, please tell them tomorrow that you love them and you're grateful for them and you're thankful for their existence. And I wish I had told the comic moms in my life that more often. I did try to tell them sometimes, like, hey, thank you for being there and existing, you're amazing. But I mean, a lot of them left comics, you know, no money. So not that me saying that would have stopped them from leaving, but at least they would have known that they'd left a significant and important impact on my life. So Miss Lee Hernandez Seidman, thank you so much for being such a warrior and such a badass artist, and for being a huge inspiration, and for plugging away and keeping the art faith, and even when times are like garbage awful, just thank you for being an inspiration and for existing. Yeah, so anyway, happy Mother's Day, y'all. I will probably see you guys next week. I'm kind of rethinking the vlogs now. So we'll see. But have a good week regardless. Hopefully I'll see you guys for the chill stream. I need to put the chill stream poll up. So if you like the chill, oh, and we're doing them at 6 now because 6 works well for everyone but me. So it works well for everyone basically, because like I do these to hang out with y'all and to do something different and to do something arty but not art. You know, it's like a different outlet. So it really doesn't matter that much to me if we do it at 4, if we do it at 6. If it works for y'all and y'all like hanging out, and I love it when y'all hang out, and I love it when y'all chat with me, and I love seeing your pet pictures. Joseph has to like hold up the laptop so I can see them, but I love seeing your pet pictures. So come hang out on Monday, chat with us. We got to do the poll, but a lot of people wanted to see crystals. So if you don't want crystals, make sure you vote in that poll. And if you do want crystals, make sure you vote in that poll. And I'll see you guys. You know what? I will at least keep doing the vlog while I'm getting used to the medication, because like I kind of like had already decided like I'm going to keep vlogging about the ADHD experiences until I feel like I've hit a nice bookend. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do it forever because there's no point in doing it forever. But until I feel like I've quit making progress, I'll probably keep checking in and talking to you guys about it. But anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Happy Mother's Day. Bye, guys.